I'm sure we've both been in the trenches where you're like, business is everything. I got to work 80 hours a week. I got to bleed out of my eyeballs. And you realize like you can't do that and, spend time that you can't ever get back. Kid's never going to be 11 again.
Yeah.
Kid's never going to be a sophomore in high school again. And so, I know I struggle with that personally. But was it that experience you think that made you, carve out 60 days of vacation now? Is that?
I think it was having a daughter was more like that was what was going on. Like, I think COVID played a big role in kind of rearranging my lifestyle to have a little bit more family focused and kind of do some of those things that we're going to talk about, because it allowed me to carve out time to do some important things in my life. And I think it also raised my status with my clients. And I think that's something that loan officers and real estate professionals struggle with, because if you call out and say that you're available 24 hours and you can call me anytime, they will.
Yeah.
And they'll expect things from you.
Right.
But I think if you set it up accurately, you can still probably reap more benefits having something a little bit more structured.
Yeah, because I think what we'll get into, because you mentioned systems and processes, like you have to have that stuff in order to not be all things to all people at all times.
Yeah.
And so it forces you to be a better business owner, run a better business if you have all that stuff in place. Before we get past it, dude, like just tell me, like 60 days of vacation a year, no shit.
60 days of vacation. My wife knows, Jamie. My daughter Poppy knows, but yeah, 60 days. So what I consider 60 days of vacation is walking away from your desk, not having to go somewhere else and do work. So one of the examples is, the UWM success tracks that we go to. I consider those vacations because I am not working during those times. And if you've ever been to any of those events, it's filled with people taking phone calls on their computer, tapping away. I'm not that type of loan officer anymore. I do have systems in place where I can walk away and everything still functions the way it's supposed to be.
Right. And you glean more benefit. You get better by being fully present at those events. And so I love to hear that too, because it's family vacations is also professional.
Yeah.
Like this, you'll love this, dude. Last week we're in Louisiana with the AIM Association for Fuse. Phenomenal event. And like you said,
you look like you had fun.
But people, I got better. And like you, I'm trying to say, listen, while I'm here to learn. I'm here to be fully engaged. And, that I can get, back to that client. I've got great support staff here that's going to help me out. And so while we're there, to your point, people are making phone calls. They're typing away on their computer. They're not fully there. They're not absorbing things. Ed Milet is like, I love the stuff he does online. In person, it was a friggin' experience. And he like literally stopped a couple times and go, dude, you're typing away on your phone. Somebody who's worth $800 million is here to speak to you, to pour a little bit of knowledge on you.
Absolutely.
And that's what you're choosing to do. Like he literally called people out and he's 100% right. And so I love to hear from you that, that's intentional.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's the stuff that's hard to measure. Talk about getting better every day. Like people will say it, but the little tiny things where like, we walked out of that too. That Ed Milet like presentation for an hour, like I said, was an experience. A lot of people were moved. They were crying. They were emotional. They were inspired. I talked to somebody and he's like, so-and-so said it didn't really do it for him. Not their cup of tea, which is, could just be different people like different things. But also what I've experienced in my life is when you're fully present and engaged, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
And so somebody who was like returning the email, they're thinking about like, oh my gosh, that appraisal was due today. There's appraisal contingency. I got to make sure I respond to this real estate agent because they don't have the systems and stuff set up. Like they didn't have the same experience that I had.
Absolutely.
Like I didn't even take a picture because I was so involved, not looking at anything else, but being engaged. So that's cool. It's cool to hear, man. So along those lines, my next question to you is the team support stuff you talked about.
Yeah.
So,
well, to kind of coincide with the vacation and the team support, I'm planning my trips up to a year out. So my whole team knows what's going on. If I need to talk about how this goes down 6 months before, one of them is as soon as my daughter graduates 6th grade, I'm going to Europe for a month.
Nice.
And we're going to travel some countries and we're going to have that handled. And that's going to happen in July. And that's already something that I've talked about. I mark them out on my calendar as far out, and then I plan work stuff around that.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta get with you on that. My younger son's in 6th grade. So
Yeah.
his 6th
We're
grade.
seeing, and you know how fast they grow. I think that's like, we're now into like the physical part of it, right? Where like we see them and we're like, oh my gosh, that's like a young adult, and I need to start treating them as such. And they need to, they're done listening to my words.
Mm-hmm.
They want to see my actions now.
Yeah.
They're done listening to anything I got to say.